Hey there, welcome Mana Ionescu to the podcast from Lightspan Digital. How you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you?
Great, great. We were talking about helping people understand influencer marketing a little bit. You've got a lot of experience in it and other things, and I was hoping maybe we can start with, who is Mana, what are the things you're doing, and then maybe give us a little primer on, so we level set on what influencer marketing might be.
Sure. I'm Mana, a Romanian in Chicago. I started a digital marketing agency a while back, and as part of helping our clients grow and generate leads, we got involved in the past few years in doing more and more influencer marketing. And just like with everything we do, we we develop the process. Process is very important for us because influencer marketing is a very big, fuzzy thing. And to be able to measure results, we need to have a structure to it. So we developed a process which we later turned into a toolkit to have a more rigorous approach to it, and particularly to be able to give people what they desire the most, and that is the data. The ability to measure has this worked or not. So that's what we've
Great.
been doing.
And it's funny. You hope people want the data. I feel like a lot, especially with influencer marketing, I hear a lot of people hoping it's kind of a little bit of a magic wand or silver bullet, and you get the people out there and magically things happen. But of course, that's never how anything works like that. Maybe for level setting, because you make a really good distinction that I think we'll get into about what maybe you might call a traditional influencer is versus a micro influencer, and how they're differently effective for different kinds of brands. So maybe let's start with what that is and how that might work for people.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of companies waste huge budgets on working with a big influencer. So we're looking for those that have 1 million plus followers. And they usually charge, and they're expensive. And the engagement tend to be these one-off things where they'll post one thing about you, and that's it. Instagram just published an update the other day where they said that less than half of the people that you follow or you're connected with on Instagram are going to see your content. Less than half. So here's an influencer, and they post a lot of things, and then they post something about you, and a small percentage of people will see it. And you've just dropped a lot of money on it. Whereas micro-influencers have much higher engagement on their content because they have a much closer relationship with the people that they're connected with. And they tend to want to work with you long term. So out of the effort of establishing the one relationship, you're going to get multiple pieces of content. It's going to be a little easier to negotiate. And you can have a long-term relationship where now you can reach more than just half of their followers, because through multiple content experiences, there's going to be more out there for people to engage with.
Well, and I think you make a pretty good point about that's more of a partner relationship, and and defining a micro influencer as someone with like 1,000 followers kind of thing. Does that sound right to you? And tell me about so how do you reconcile, because now you probably are having to talk to maybe a greater number of influencers, but they're more impactful. So how do you manage all those relationships?
Yeah, you have to talk to more, but they're more responsive. So the actual effort of developing the relationship is not as lengthy, as intense as with a macro influencer. So we use a simple spreadsheet in the toolkit. There's a simple spreadsheet. You can create your own where we do the research, we list the names of the people we want to potentially work with, and we look to see how impactful is their blog, if they have one, what social networks are they on, and where do they gain more traction. And we list all these details in there, and then we start reaching out to them, and then we mark which ones entered in a relationship with us, and then we also mark the results in the same spreadsheet. So we have everything in one place. So if we notice that one influencer was a pleasure to work with and the results were great, then we need to go back to them for more and more.
Yeah. How about maybe getting real? Can you think of a story of a time when a micro influencer relationship went really, really well and sort of developed and grew over time like that? Like what's a kind of a case study kind of thing you can kind of talk about?
Yeah. So we were working with a candy manufacturer, and candy, everybody loves candy. So you think that it's easy to market, but it's just one line of products. It's just sugar with different packaging, right? So there's only this much sugar you can sell. So we were trying to expand the reach. This was allergen-free candy, so quite unique in that. And so we were trying to reach moms who were whose kids potentially had allergies. So we looked for influencers that were in that space, who they themselves had kids with allergies, and a lot of their content was solutions for parents who have kids with allergies. So we reached out to a bunch of them, and one of them wanted a higher payment than we had budgeted for. But we said, you know what? Christmas is a really big time for us. And now it's March. We started this conversation in March. Let's see if we can get that budget before Christmas, and maybe we can do something really interesting together between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, and what they asked for, the budget wasn't huge. It was like, I believe, $2,000. It wasn't huge. But during that year, we kept talking to them. So we established a relationship. And little by little, the engagement became more and more clear. And we ended up having multiple pieces of content and the blog post. And everything tied together. There was like a story to it. And so because we took the time, because we weren't ready day one, but we figured out the budget and we took the time to really talk through things with this influencer. At the end of it, it was incredibly successful. It was probably one of the most successful engagements we had. We were getting hundreds of likes and comments and traffic from just this one engagement with somebody that didn't have that many followers. I think she was somewhere in the range of 30,000 followers. It was just...
But really targeted, like a great fit for the product and the brand.
The targeting was great. The influencer was great. During that time, we learned more about her, and we realized she was truly genuine. She had really true relationships with her audience. And that's where you see the most engagement. That's where you see the most results, is when that influencer has a close relationship with the people that follow them.
Yeah. You mentioned kind of budgets and payments in there. I'm curious about, can you talk about how, for people that haven't, engaged an influencer, micro or normal, I don't know if normal is the right word, but any kind of influencer, what should you expect, and what are payments like? And is it performance or time or posts, or how does that all work?
Most micro influencers will work with you for free or just an exchange. So whether the exchange is a blog exchange, whether the exchange is we send you some product, we send you a book, you write about it, you post about it.
Right.
I think what is important to talk about at this point too is that there's all sorts of influencers, not just, we think immediately of the Instagram influencers or now TikTok influencers.
Yeah.
You have bloggers, you have journalists, you have LinkedIn influencers, you have Instagram influencers. So depending on what your goals are, you have to decide what the right channel is for you first before you start looking for influencers. So when we work with bloggers, a lot of times they're happy to just have new content to post.
Yeah.
So they may not charge much, maybe $200, but many micro influencers will work for free. When we talk about Instagram, they have to show something, not just write about something. So that's a better fit when you have a product, when you have something that they can create a lifestyle piece and experience with.
Yeah. How about, you mentioned in there tracking, and some of these platforms, like they differ in what's available. So like some have an SEO component, some don't. Others have things you can track. So when you put together a whole picture of all the different things you're doing on all the different platforms, what are the things you look for typically to track how effective your campaign is?
Yeah, every goal can be translated into a digital marketing goal, and that can be translated into what I call a digital currency. So when we talk about SEO, our currency is links back from websites, with pages with a domain authority higher than ours, or even as ours, and many different websites and links from those websites. So that's our currency there. So there we would measure it in, how many links have we accomplished to get back. On Instagram, especially if you work with products, it's really helpful to track the links, the URLs that they're going to be using. Those who have over 10,000 followers can put links in their stories, and stories are very effective right now. So you can track traffic to the website, but also it's great to have some sort of a giveaway or a coupon where you can track the usage of that coupon. We've seen with a client of ours that one influencer relationship led to over 300 coupon uses, so 300 new purchases from just one instance where that person posted to stories as well as to their feed, but it was, again, the right audience in the right space. So you have to decide in advance what your digital currency is, that that then translates into actual value, into actual dollars, right?
Yeah. Have you ever had a situation where kind of what a client wanted to use as a digital currency, or the target they were aiming for, sort of like wasn't achievable, and you had to sort of redirect, well, here's what's realistic in a different kind of target? Like, tell me about that.
All the time. We have people who come to us and say, we identify these 3 influencers on Instagram and we want to work with them. And I ask why. Well, because they're influencers. But why?
It's not enough, right? Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we discover that what they want is media relations. They want articles about them and blog posts about them. That maybe Instagram is not the right place for them to be. But we see so many people start with the influencer. They have a channel and an influencer in mind because everybody's talking about Instagram and TikTok. So we should be there. And then they wonder why. One, they can't measure results, and they have no idea. So they have no idea how that's worked for them. So that is the one that I have to always tell people, stop. If you're starting with the channel before you've even identified your goals and that digital currency that's going to be the proxy for your dollar value, for your dollar goal.
Yeah.
If you haven't done that yet, don't jump into a channel. Don't start looking for influencers. The number one question...
It's going at it back.
I'm sorry?
It's coming at it kind of from the wrong end of the equation there.
Yeah. The number one question I get is, where do I find influencers? And so again, that's an indicator to us, all right, you've already jumped a few steps in the process there. You may go down the wrong channel.
Yeah. How about this? Kind of maybe as a final thought here. Is there anything new happening? So, like, I feel like the latest phenomenon was TikTok, but that's maybe even a little bit old now. Are there new things emerging, sort of in the landscape that people should pay attention to? So
Pinterest is still doing very well, and they're releasing new things all the time. Recently, they've added shopping to their features. And it's very interesting because the testing they've been doing is to allow your everyday person to sell their products. So maybe I want to sell a recipe book that I've put together through my many Pinterest recipes that I shared.
Yeah.
You're going to have the ability to do that through Pinterest directly. Instagram has added shopping within the app itself, but this Pinterest feature is a little different because with Instagram you have to have an actual store. It's usually businesses who have this ability to sell. Pinterest has just announced changes to their algorithm just the other two days ago. Or rather, they've disclosed how their algorithm works, and it's very interesting because they're preparing to add advertising to Reels. So basically, they're making Reels more and more important because they're being more and more used. And as part of the algorithm, what they've disclosed is that Reels get ranked based on the music that you use for them and how popular that music is. And they use that as a proxy for that music encouraging people to create their reels based on the reel that they've just watched. So,
oh wow, yeah.
So there's these indicators that they're using now that are non-standard. We usually think of, oh, a post gets higher visibility because it has a lot of likes and comments and so on. Well, that's not the case with Reels. So it really makes you think, okay, how can I create content, or what influencers should I be working with who are able to create that viral effect, who are able to create those memes that makes their followers want to create something on their own. And that's the content that rises to the top.
That's interesting. So maybe one more thought. I'm curious for people or companies that haven't done anything with this yet. Is there like a first thing you might recommend trying or looking at?
Yeah, in the B2B space, I recommend actually going to the people who are influential and paying attention to who comments on their content. So influential in your space. So start by observing what others are doing. So here's an influencer, and here's a bunch of people who pay attention to them. Those people could be your target audiences. So maybe instead of trying to capture the attention of that influencer, go on LinkedIn, look at those comments, and interact with the people who comment on that influencer's content. So basically, you have this open network where the influencer, you don't have to work with influencer directly because who they engage with is very obvious. So you can jump straight into that audience. So you can use influencer marketing not just in a one-on-one relationship with that influencer. You can reach their network. In the B2C space, again, what I recommend is, again, doing that, taking your time to observe what's happening. What is happening in your universe? Whose voices are strong? Look at, again, who's commenting on that content. And does it sound like a relationship? Or is it just people commenting on an influencer's post saying, let's collab, let's collab? That research up front is not just going to tell you who to work with. It may even give you a lot of insights into your potential audience, how they think, how they behave online, and what type of content you should create to reach them.
Oh, that's super cool. Hey, listen, this has been a great conversation about influencer marketing. I really appreciate your insights, and thanks for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me.
You made it all the way to the end. Thanks. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video to hear more content just like this.